and I am here virtually with Brad Clark with ActionCOACH Into Success Coaching out of Heath, Texas. Brad, thank you so much for visiting with me today.
Hey, Julie, I appreciate you having me. Thank you.
Yeah, I'm really excited to get to know more about you and learn about your business. And so would you mind describing for us first, just describe your business and what you do?
So I'm a business coach, and so I own a business coaching practice in Heath. I'm a franchisee, so I'm part of a global organization of coaches around the world. ActionCOACH is, I stopped counting the numbers, because it changes almost every month. But last I checked, we were 1,000 coaches in about 85 different countries. So it's pretty cool being part of a global entity of coaches, and a very, very tight knit one. So it's pretty kind of cool. But what we do as a whole is put simply, a lot of people think we're consultants, and there's a distinct difference between consultants and what we do. Consultants are the come in and do it for you kind of people. We're the educators. So if you think about, a football coach will educate his quarterback on the field, and then the quarterback goes out and execute it. That's kind of what we do. So we educate in all facets of business. One of the things that I've found over the almost 4 years I've been doing this is that, the educational system in America is phenomenal and second to none. And they're really, really good at training operators, and they're really, really good at training employees. There's not a formal system for training business owners in this country, and there's a definite knowledge gap between being an operator and being a full-time owner. So that we help fill in that gap.
I absolutely agree with that. And being a small business owner can be very challenging. Now, do you mainly coach business owners, or do you also coach professionals or executives as well?
That's a great question. It's really is. That's the cool thing about our offering is it's education tailored for the end user. So, we will coach whoever needs the work. So we predominantly, most of my clientele right now are business owners. I have worked with teams before. So we've done some team coaching in various different areas. I haven't worked with any executive coaching yet, but I have a background in executive leadership. So maybe that's why I haven't done it yet. I had enough of that in a prior life, so I didn't want to deal with that anymore. But for me, it's predominantly business owners, but we coach them all. I mean, we coach everything from an employee in a business all the way up to an owner of a multi-million-dollar company to executives in Fortune 500 companies. So we have offerings for all of them, and that's the cool thing about what we do is it's basically it is customized. So we basically meet you where you are and provide you what you need in order to have a better business and a better life ultimately.
Yes. With your leadership and sales experience, is that partly why you chose this profession?
Yeah, it is. So I have since 99 operational leadership or sales leadership, and then the last 6 years I was in the private sector. I was a sales leader. So I recruited, mentored, trained, and coached sales professionals predominantly in the southern U.S. I was in the medical field, the laboratory diagnostics field, and to say that industry as a whole is a little volatile is a gross understatement. And so I loved my teams. I loved building teams. I just didn't care for the volatility of that particular market. And after 2 or 3 years worth of reductions in force and having to let people go that I had coached, I'd had enough. And so started looking around what I wanted to do when I grew up, and came across this model quite by accident. I was working with a business broker in Dallas, and she was hooking me up with a bunch of different opportunities, and nothing really spoke to my inner sense of purpose. And so this kind of just popped up by accident one day, and I started researching it, and it's like, you know what? This is one of those cool things where I get to do all the fun stuff that I loved in my job before, which is recruiting, mentoring, fostering growth, coaching, and I don't have to deal with all the performance management stuff that I used to do. So it was a really perfect fit. Little did I know getting into it that what I was getting into was not just another opportunity to mentor people, but it really is an opportunity to impact people on a large scale. So my whole purpose and why has evolved over the 4 years I've been with ActionCOACH.
That is great. Well, what made you decide to open in the Rockwell Heath area?
You know what? My wife and I, we got married in 2003 in Rowlett. I'm sorry, 2004. I'm glad she didn't hear that. We got married in 2004, and she had 2 daughters before then that were in Rowlett and were in the Garland ISD. And so we raised those girls up and all the way through graduation. We had our daughter between us, and she was growing up in the Garland ISD as well. We decided in 2011 that we were going to move across the bridge over here to Rockwall primarily for the schools for my daughter. And once we moved over here, just absolutely fell in love with it. And so I knew that once I decided back in 2016 that I was going to open up a business, this is absolutely the perfect place for it.
Yeah.
And little did I know at the time, I was just basing that on the community and the people here, and I didn't realize what a booming small business community Rockwall is. And
Yeah,
it's just the growth here is phenomenal. The business community is phenomenal. Just to watch, especially in this time of crisis, to watch all these business owners come together and help each other. I'm not sure that's happening anywhere else, but I know it's happening here, and it's cool to watch.
Yeah, it really is. Absolutely. I would agree with that. And I see that all the time. I love talking to the local business owners, and I do see a lot of sense of community here in Rockwall, and I love that.
Yeah,
so
absolutely.
Let me ask you, Brad, what do you think has been the biggest surprise in owning this business or running this business?
How much time we got?
You got a few minutes. Go ahead.
Well, if I had to say, probably the biggest one is that just how, on an island most business owners are. And somebody once told me, once I first started this back in 2016, that business ownership is absolutely the loneliest job in the world. And I couldn't agree with that more. So I think that surprised me. I knew I was going to be on an island, and quite frankly, in my prior sales career, I was on an island anyway. I would work remotely. I kind of, was left to my own vices. This is completely different. And business owners face a unique challenge of, it's them. They're the end of the buck stops there. So if they're not doing something, it's not getting done. And it really can be lonely sometimes. And business owners, I've found, have a tendency to isolate themselves. I'm no exception, because of the personality types you're dealing with and personality types it takes to start and run a business. There's a little bit of I can do it better syndrome there, and quite frankly so, rightly so. And that tends to lead a lot of business owners to isolate themselves, which is absolutely the worst thing in the world you can do. Because you're already lonely enough as it is in the business. So that's why I'm just loving Rockwall so much, is because the energy in Rockwall and the collaboration in Rockwall is I've not seen it anywhere else. And so it kind of helps alleviate some of that isolation. But I think that was the biggest surprise, of just how on an island you are, and without a whole lot of resources to ensure that you're successful other than your own activity.
Yeah.
I think that was probably the biggest surprise for me.
Yeah. So we're explaining to me in the beginning the difference between coaching and consultant, et cetera. Can you elaborate on that and maybe tell us something that most customers, don't understand about what you do? What are some common misconceptions?
Sure. So the best way, and I'm no expert in consulting, the best way I describe consultants are typically specialized in a certain area, a certain either industry or a certain area of business, or a certain discipline, and they're called in to basically fix a problem, create a solution, implement the solution, monitor the solution, then move on to something else. So at the end of the day, once you've worked with a consultant, they come in and put all these processes in place and fixed all these things and moved on to their next gig. The business owner is left with something that's working, but has no idea how it's working, because he wasn't necessarily part of the fix. So where we come in and where we're different is that I call us it's kind of tongue in cheek, but we're kind of a lazy consultant. We won't do any of the work. That's just not how we do it. We're going to teach and mentor and coach and teach you how to do the work, so that once you learn how to do it and you're implementing it and you're executing it day after day, it sticks and it's not going away. So that's the difference between us and consultants, is that we're more of an educator than we are a doer. And so we provide that education, we provide the accountability piece, and we provide the mentorship to enable the business owner to learn how to do it on their own. So, common misconception that I get all the time, especially talking to business owners for the first time, is that, well, you know what, my business is not broke, so I don't need a coach. And quite honestly, I've worked with a lot of distressed businesses, and it is a rewarding endeavor to turn a distressed business around, but it's a lot of work, and it takes time that could be spent taking the business from good to great. And instead of doing that, we're taking it from survival mode to good. And so
Yeah.
that there's a time lag there. So ideally, we like to work with business owners that are in growth mode. They're forward looking, they're in growth mode. They've reached a cap based on their own skill set or knowledge set, and they just don't know how to go from here to here. So that's where we thrive the most. And I kind of equate it to those folks that they say I'm not broke. Is like, well, honestly, you're not going to wait till you have stage 4 cancer to go see the doctor, right?
Yeah.
Hopefully you're going to see the doctor proactively. I see the doctor every couple of months, and that's what we really are. Is the more proactive we can be in a business, the better the business is going to see results. So
Yeah.
that's a common misconception, is that we only go in and fix broken things.
So do you also help people in their personal business, whatever it may be, define goals or define their idea of success? Do you help them do that?
We do, as a matter of fact. In fact, some of the basic fundamental principles and basic foundation that we lay when we start into coaching relationship is just that we sit down, we conduct what's called an alignment process. And so the alignment process is about a 3 to 4 hour process between the coach and the business owner, typically the coach and the business owner, any other partners, and family members to come in, because the families often overlooked in these businesses, and they typically oftentimes are just as isolated as the owners. So, and it's important that the family have a say into the business, because the business, if designed appropriately and operated appropriately, really should be providing everything in the personal life that you want. Otherwise, what's the point in going through the heartache of having a business if it's just going to create more headache for you?
Yeah.
So the alignment process is just that. Is to map out 1, 3, 5, 10-year goals, personal goals and professional goals, business goals, and then see where the disconnect is between what the business goals are and what the owner and the owner's family wants to accomplish personally. Because the business should be structured to meet the personal goals, and if it's not, then we catch that up front. And so once the alignment is done, that really becomes our roadmap for coaching going forward. We have 1 year goals, 3-year goals, 5-year goals, and 10-year goals. And so that is basically the framework for the coaching relationship going forward.
I like that. A lot of business owners don't think that far in advance. But also, one of the reasons that a lot of people get into business for themselves is to have control over their schedule. And I guess they're wanting a good quality of life. So I can see how if they get off track on that, you can help them get that back.
Yeah, absolutely. And look, life happens, and even with the best laid plans, it's just that, a best laid plan.
Mm-hmm.
It's the ability to persist and be determined to accomplish a certain goal is really the key to it. And a lot of times business owners, just they get so deep in the weeds and they get so deep in handling the day-to-day and the operational piece, they don't see this other stuff that's going on. And before you know it, you've got a business owner that's doing well, making money, providing for their family, but they've been 15 years at the same revenue mark, or 15 years in growth, and time goes fast. And we're firm believers that businesses should be providing owners more life and not sucking the life out of them.
What would you say when you get feedback from your clients? What's some of the good feedback that they give you? What do they enjoy the most or value the most about your services?
Well, I would be lying if I didn't say that money wasn't at the top of that list. But some of the most rewarding conversations I've had and the most rewarding comments made to me have been those that, within a very short amount of time, 6 to 8 to 10 weeks worth of coaching, there's a very substantive and demonstrative change in their bottom line profits. And that's a big focus for us. And a lot of business owners are in the mindset of, if I need more money, I need to make more sales.
Mm-hmm.
And that's not necessarily true. There's a whole lot of other areas in the business to look at other than sales. Sales is important. But if the rest of your facets of business aren't clicking on all cylinders, you can have all the sales in the world and you're never going to make any money. So the ability for us to go in on a short-term basis and kind of flip that around, and almost overnight, the business owners starting to see additional cash flow, additional profits, is really, really cool.
Mm-hmm.
One of the intangibles that I didn't anticipate was during the coaching relationship, getting business owners' goal sets back in a structure, back in a discipline. It really shifts owners' mindsets. It shifts their outlook on their business, such that all of a sudden it becomes fun again. It was like that was when they first started it, instead of this day-to-day grind and 60, 70 hours a week for something that's slowly killing them. So that's kind of the intangible that's kind of fun to watch, is just to see the energy come back in those business owners, and to see them starting to have fun and regain that passion that they originally had when they started.
Yeah, absolutely. I bet that's enjoyable to watch. Yeah, that's
great.
it's
a ton of fun. Ton of fun.
Well, having been in Rockwall now for a while, and you said you love the community, what are some of your favorite places to go to?
You know, my, my wife and I have this habit of not cooking at home a whole lot, which is why this whole shutdown is killing us right now.
Oh, yeah?
We got such cabin fever and going such stir crazy. We are a big lover and a big frequenter of local restaurants. We try to stay away from the big chain restaurants because there's so much choice here in Rockwall.
Yeah.
But we're big fans. In fact, I don't know if you've ever seen the TV show Cheers, but we're like Norm at Ben 303. So we walk in
Oh,
and
yeah?
our seats at the bar are always saved. They greet us by name. They know what drinks we like. Typically know what appetizers we like, and all that's ordered as soon as we walk in the door. So that's how often we go there.
That is great.
So you can pretty much catch us at least once a week in the evenings for dinner up at Ben 303. But then we've kind of gotten hooked. We're both members of Lake Point Church, and so we've kind of gotten hooked after church. We go to Standard Service for brunch, and so best brunch in town, by the way. Little plug for Standard Service there. But if you haven't tried it, you need to try it. But yeah, most of the places we like to go in Rockwall involve some sort of food.
Yeah.
And so I seriously doubt there's a single restaurant in Rockwall we haven't tried. But there's some that we hit more often than others for sure.
Yeah. Yeah, we have a lot of really good ones. That is
We do.
for sure. I love it. I love it. So who would you say, as you're talking, this video is going to go to the public, of course, who would you say would be in need of your services that could, right now, with this situation particularly even, could benefit from your services?
Well, I'll tell you, and a lot of people, and including coaches and myself, I was part of that for the first couple of weeks, tended to look at this whole shutdown as this, very negative thing. And it's very hard to get around, kind of the gloom that's laying over the country right now because we're all shut down. But honestly, this is an opportunity of a lifetime right now, from an investment standpoint, from a business growth standpoint. So honestly, the people that could use our services right now, obviously the people that are distressed and the people that are losing money, there's going to be a need to have a specific plan in place once the doors reopen, just to avoid the stampede. Because think about it, when restaurants reopen, good luck getting a seat. But the backside of that too is if the restaurant's not prepared, already have their staff trained, already have supply chain in place, then they're going to be reaching for scraps once the stampede hits. And they're going to be able to not do the things that the business is going to be open, but they're not going to be able to function because they can't get their hands on supplies or staff.
Yeah.
So that aspect of business will definitely need our services and help. But then there's another segment that's doing really well right now. And they're thriving, and they may have reached a revenue point or a growth point where they're capped, and they just don't know what's next. And that's where we flourish is determining what is next and how to put them on a plan to continue the upward growth. So different needs for the same time. Both need a plan in place to kind of be ready for that stampede. Otherwise, obviously, we talked about the distressed businesses, but even the businesses that are thriving right now, once the market reopens and everybody floods it, they're going to see their competition exponentially increase too, and so they got to have a plan as well. So any of those businesses will need to contact a coach at some point. And I'd like to take it back to a sports analogy. You've never seen any elite sports athlete get to anywhere without the benefit of external help. So business shouldn't be any different. In fact, it's probably a lot more complex than being an athlete. So a lot more facets to it. So, having somebody in your corner to give you a third party look-see into what's going on and give you a little bit of objectiveness is a good thing.
Yeah. And as you pointed out, not only is this time to get prepared and get your infrastructure in place, but it's a time they can get with you virtually. Are you doing coaching sessions kind of like we're doing right now?
Yeah, I absolutely am. I'm doing coaching sessions online.
Okay.
I'm doing prospect meetings online. We do right now. What I'm doing is for any business owner that wants to, I'm offering a 90-minute, basically it's a strategic planning session. We go through a 17-point checklist of how to pivot your business to be ready.
Okay.
We go through a 15-point checklist on reallocating your current resources, reallocating your staff, reallocating your time, marketing dollars, all that kind of stuff. Those two checklists will help develop the 90-day relaunch plan. So I'm offering that complimentary right now to business owners that want to sit down for 90 minutes. We do that virtually. In addition, we've kind of stepped up our educational offers. We're doing webinars every Thursday. We're having one this Thursday at 4 o'clock, kind of talking about those same principles. And so that's going to be probably ongoing through May
Okay.
until we get released back, and then we get to some semblance of normal. But yeah, definitely we're doing educational opportunities online, coaching opportunities online, strategy sessions online. I don't think I've left my house in 4 or 5 weeks other than to go grab something quick to eat. And it's,
Yeah.
yeah.
Yeah. Well, I hope you will get people reaching out to you, taking advantage of this time that they're at home and they can do this online and virtually. Is there anything else you want to add?
No, I appreciate this opportunity. I appreciate the plug, Darren. I've really enjoyed this conversation. So thank you for doing this.
Yeah, absolutely. Well, thank you very much. And I hope you and your family stay safe and healthy.